Welcome back everyone. Today you join me back on with another episode on the Scania 143. So it's back in the workshop, nice and clean. Last episode you'll see us give this a right good washing off. It's been sat in here now for the best part of 12 months gathering dust. We'll give it a right good clean. Now it's all nice and shiny, ready to be worked on again. So one of the first things we're going to do today is start to look at getting these one-piece rear wings on, which we have just over at the back of the workshop there. Now obviously at the moment there is no wing stays, no brackets, no nothing to fit these wings on with. So the aim of the game is we're going to try and get a wing stay drilled through the chassis, which will then accept some IT35 brackets, which will then bolt to the wing. We're going to be putting some bobbins up here underneath these locker bodies just to space out the gap, the difference basically between there and there. It's about 2 inch. We've got some nylon blocks we're going to be fitting just to stop the wing sagging in the middle, and then we're going to be making some sort of a bracket off the back of the body here where we can then bolt the wing through the back as well, so that should be nice and solid. We're going to be doing the same on this side. However, on this side what we do need to do is lift the body up, because this side is still on temporary blocks. Now we've not been able to get to much of this side of the truck because it's been quite close over at this side of the workshop. However, when we brought it back in at the weekend, we've allowed a little bit more room so we can get access, or more access, to this side of the vehicle. So as you can see up there at the moment, it's on some temporary nylon blocks, so we need to lift this body up, whip them out and put the proper mounts in there, and then we can move on to the wing on this side as well. I'll just show you the mounts on this side. You can see the difference. They are the mounts we've got on this side, much larger, much more solid. So they're the ones we're going to be putting on that side. Once we've got the wings done, then hopefully I can focus back on with this front bumper, which has been the elephant in the room for quite some time now. Once a fair bit of welding. I have got these end caps done a couple of weeks ago because they was completely rotten. They come out really well. I'm going to be cutting this section out, both sides, so that bit over there as well, and then I'm going to be cutting this bit out right across here, and then putting one big piece back in there. This can then all be cleaned up. There's quite a few dints in this that need to be knocked out and skimmed out. It's going to want a lot of filler work, a lot of sanding. We're going to be taking this number plate bracket off and repositioning the number plate because it looks horrendous where it is. We're not going to be using this front tow hitch, that's no longer required, so we're going to be filling these holes, grinding that flat, and then we can mount a number plate slap bang in the middle of the front bumper. So that is the aim of the game for this episode. Let's get into it, let's crack on. To me, to you. Oh, that's for that. Not mine. Now, how did we do this last time?
We had one of them each. Yeah.
So one of them out of a wooden block or something? Oh.
No, we didn't need to. We sat them on the tyres and just sent it up.
So go in a little bit, isn't it? That's it. That might could probably go up a little bit more, I think. Just run out of strips, there we go. Right, so that is the wing pretty much in place. That's how it's going to sit. Now, we do have to leave this protruding the body slightly because obviously the wheels stick out further than the body. So if we didn't do that, that'd be an MOT fail because that wheel arch has got to cover the wheels or the tyres themselves. So it's going to sit roughly like that. Obviously it wants kicking in a little bit at the bottom, but we can get that adjustment when we put this rear bracket on. So the next thing we need to do now is get our wing stay, which is one of these, I think, innit? There it is. So this is our wing stay, and we're going to be putting that obviously on this side of the wing, bolted to the chassis, like so. And then we have some what we call IT35 brackets, so they're basically a 35mm bracket that sleeves over that wing stay, and then we'll bolt that through into the wing.
Riches and status.
That's roughly where the stay is going to go.
We're going to go up another. It's going to have to go up here.
Get it a bit higher.
Yeah. Probably trim it down a little bit more. So instead of having the metal tube against the bodywork, we'll have the nylon end cap against it. So that's not rubbing against it, vibrating.
Yeah, so basically what we're going to do, we're going to lift the stay up ever so slightly, and then we can drill it through the body, through that black bit there, and put the bolts on the back rather than going into the chassis. And like Glenn says, we'll shorten it a little bit and put the rubber end cap back in there so it's not rubbing on the body. Right, so while I leave Glenn to crack on fitting that front wing stay, I will jump back on with this with him very shortly when we move into this back end so we can line this up between us. So while Glenn's doing that front wing stay, I'm going to focus my attention onto this front bumper. Now, I've just mocked up a cardboard template to fill that big hole. So basically, I'm just going to butt that up with the cut at the front. Now what we have to do here, obviously if I level it up with that edge, then I'm going to be short there, so I'm going to overhang that ever so slightly. And then what I'm going to do, because this cut there isn't actually square or straight, I'm going to overlap that there. I'm going to overlap it on that edge so we know we've got enough length there. Butt it up with the front of the cut. And then what I'm going to do now, I'm going to remark this. Once I've got it level like that, I'll remark it up this edge, and then I'll just cut another piece of this section out so it's nice and square to match up with our template. That then lines up with this edge, which gives us the section we need, this slight overhang that you can see under there. And then obviously we do have a little bit of an overhang here, but once I've welded this in, I can grind the edge to suit. So that is the plan. That is our template. I'm going to now transfer this onto a piece of sheet steel, which I have there. Draw around it, cut it out, clean all this up, get some nice clean steel to weld to, pull the welder out, let's get it welded in. Right, so that was a good session on that bumper tonight, a good welding session. So I managed to get these little flitch plates in, these little strengtheners. That has made that a hell of a lot more stronger now. Because what I was concerned about is this is actually the step that you stand on to get inside the truck. And with there being nothing inside there, it was quite flimsy. So that's put some nice support in there now, so it's not bending and trying to flex on you when you're standing on it. This has also now been welded in, nice and solid. I've just got to grind these welds down. Now I was going to cut these out, these top sections, but they're actually still really solid. They're more solid than I thought they was. I mean, it's quite thick steel this, so there is actually life left in them yet. And again, we are going to get this all shot blasted again once we've finished all the welding and fabrication work on it. I've done the same again round here. I've put the flitch plates in, or the strengthener plates, whatever you want to call them. Again, this is all nice and solid, so that's a nice bulk of the work done there. I do need to make some cover plates for these holes. These are the original holes where the bumper was filled through. However, we're going to be filling this with concrete, so this needs to be filled from the top now. We want to get this on the truck first and then filled when it's on the truck, because we don't want to be trying to manhandle this when it's got all that weight inside of it. So the plan is to get this painted while it's empty and then get it on the truck. So I will be welding these shut. This is actually the top of the bumper. We've got it upside down at the moment, so I will be cutting a hole in the top and making an inspection cover to cover that hole once the bumper has been filled with concrete. We'll just put some riv nuts in so we can bolt a plate to cover that hole where the concrete goes in. I'll just take for a little look at what Glenn's been up to. Glenn has got the wing stay on, you might notice there's a piece of threaded bar going through the end of that. Now the reason for that is, once we've bolted that wing stay on and we got the brackets onto the wing itself, what was happening was we had this jack under it with a block of wood just supporting this end, and when we was lowering the jack down, it was actually flexing and pulling the wing away from the body line there, so they ended up with a gap. So we put a nice piece of threaded bar up through the top of that to pull it all up nice and snug and keep it looking nice and tight against that body. So the next thing we will be doing is looking into supporting the middle of this wheel arch, and then obviously making a bracket for the back as well. This is the start of another evening on the 143. So last night we managed to get the front of this wing section all fastened up. So now we need to concentrate on this back section. We're going to be putting a piece of angle iron just from the back of the body underneath here, which will drop down and then allow us to bolt through to this wing here. And then we're probably going to make some brackets to come off this cross member to go up and support the middle of the wing. And same again on this side. In fact, we might probably end up putting two on each side on there just to stop that middle bit sagging down. That'll keep that nice and strong. Now, good news, shot blaster's been out this morning and blasted our bumper off, so that is all now. Had all the old body filler and rust and all the nasty stuff blasted out of it. Has revealed quite a lot of repairs that are needed, because obviously there was a lot of filler in this bumper, so we've got a bit of a nick in this corner here that needs dealing with. We've got quite a few dents in the front that are going to want skimming out. And same again on here, got a bit of a nick there. All around the back's done as well. But at least that is now more workable. We can see what we're working with, because you never know what you're dealing with until you've got all the body filler off. So that's something we're going to be coming back to. So once we've finished off on this wheel arch, we then need to unbolt the temporary mounts off the body on the offside, lift it up very slightly, pull these temporary mounts out, and then we can put the proper mounts in there. Once we've got that body mounted up, we can then start to look at getting the wing or the wheel arch in this side as well. That's what we're going to be on with tonight. You just can't help yourself, can you? It's his pride and joy, that thing. Brew and a floor sweeper in his element. However, he does have a clean floor. I'll give him that. Okay, so we've got that wheel arch on. I think that is looking pretty damn good, to be fair. Now what we've done, we've actually replaced this seal as well. We had quite a thin edging trim on there, which was this stuff. So originally we was using this stuff, and it's just not very deep, and it just didn't look very good at all. It was wavy, and it just didn't fit the body lines very nice. So we've replaced it for some door seal. That looks a hell of a lot better, and it actually seals the wing against the body as well. So very, very happy with how that one's turned out. We've got our brackets on the bottom there as well, all bolted in. We actually had to heat up an M8 bolt and push it through a couple of these holes, because the holes are behind these stiff legs, so we couldn't obviously get the drill in. So yeah, we heated a bolt up and pushed it through the wing there to melt a hole through the wing, but we got it in the end. If we move around this side, we've jacked the body up as you've seen there, and we have now installed the correct body mounts, or the mounts that we're using, and we've just applied the edging trim or the seal to this edge as well. So the next thing we're going to do now, we need to put the wing in. We need to mark up around our cross member. We actually had these made because the old ones was rotten, so we had these laser cut and made like for like to the old ones. So we need to place the wing in, mark up either side of this cross member, cut a hole out in the wings that the wing sort of pushes up through the cross member, so there's a hole in the top of the wing basically to go around that cross member. Once we've got that done, we can then do the same as what we've done on the other side. A couple of jacks under the wing just to lift it in place, can then position the front wing stay, make our bracket again for this back end, bolt it on the back, bolt it on the front, a couple of brackets in the middle, and then that should be a job well done. So that's the wheel arch mocked into place. There's some obviously bits of adjusting to do. We're just getting it in a rough spot. It needs to come up slightly at that back end, and then it just needs leveling out on the sides. Level it out as best we can on the back. Now the problem you get with these is these bodies are never exactly the same both sides because they are handmade, so there might be some slight differences in the shapes and the curves and stuff like that. So it's never going to be identical to the other side, but all we can do is get it as near as possible to the other side. So it's in a rough position now. I think the next step is to get this front wing stay on, same as we did on the other side, and get the brackets on so we know this front, the position of this front is correct, and then we can move on and start to bolt in the rear and then look at support in the middle.
Hiya. Where are you?
Hello.
Hello. Thought we were going mad for a minute. I'm looking around. I'm hearing voices.
Right, so that is the other wheel arch fitting. We've actually got it to line up really, really well. It fitted a lot better than we thought it was gonna do. Thought it was going to have a bit of a gap here, but that's fitted really nice and flush. So I'm well happy with that. So now we're just waiting on some mud flaps that we've ordered. We've got some Scania flaps for the rear, and we've got some Scania flaps to go on the front as well. So there's not a lot more we can do with these wings now until those flaps come. So what we're going to do is get it jump started, get the truck on the floor. We're going to back it up a little bit, just give us a little bit more room at the front, and then we're going to get the cab over, because what we need to do now is run a feed from the cab, or a new feed from the cab into this locker, ready to power up all the lights on the body. And also while Glenn's doing that, that then allows me access to the exhaust stack on this side to be able to start running the flexi pipe from the stack to the back of the turbo, and then we can start looking at doing the engine service and everything while the cab's over as well. But that is going to draw this episode to an end. Not a bad bit of progress for a few days or a few evenings. Obviously we're not spending full days on this truck, we're just doing it in between running our businesses, so we're just literally getting a few hours of an evening, a few hours on a Saturday morning and so on. So yeah, pretty happy with that progress. She's sitting nice and tidy. Then wheel arches give it a nice little bit of a chunky look as well, gives it a good stance. So yeah, with that said guys, we're going to leave this one here. I hope you have enjoyed this episode. I hope you're enjoying this build. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give us a like, give us a share, and we'll see you all on the next video.